Professor G. Manlopo.
Alright, so again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. So today class, what I will discuss is all about variable and absorption costing. Okay, so we are finished na with our introduction to management accounting. We are finished na also with the cost concepts and terms. We are also finished na about your CVP analysis, no? The cost, volume, profit analysis, and at the same time, about your break-even analysis. Now, today class, what I will discuss is all about now variable and absorption costing. Alright, so ano bang ibig sabihin ng tinatawag nating variable and absorption costing? So, today class, what I will discuss is about explain the difference between your absorption costing and also known as and also about the variable costing. Alright, so ano bang ibig sabihin ng absorption and variable costing? Alright, so absorption versus variable costing. Alright, so in terms of manufacturing, now all manufacturing costs are charged to and absorbed by the product under the full or absorption costing. By the way, class, when you say about absorption costing, it is also known as full costing. Yes. So when you say about full or absorption costing, it is your usual, no? That's your basically your external, no? So sales minus cost of sales is equals to the gross profit minus OPEX, and you have your net income. That's your full or absorption costing. Yan yung ginagamit natin in your financial accounting. Alright, how about in terms of your variable costing? So, variable costing class, it is basically your contribution margin format. That's why, in the variable costing, only direct materials, direct labor, and the variable overhead costs are considered to be product costs. So, ano ang pagkakaiba ng full absorption and variable costing? Mamaya class. In the full or absorption costing, the fixed manufacturing overhead, alright, are part of your product cost. Again, what is product cost? Product cost is your manufacturing cost, or also known as inventoriable cost. Meaning class, they are all to be part of your inventory. While in the variable costing, please take note of the highlights. No? Fixed manufacturing overhead are recognized as period costs. Yes, class. Now, it is recognized to be part of the period costs when incurred. Meaning to say, the difference between the absorption costing and the variable costing is through your fixed manufacturing overhead. Why? Again, in your fixed manufacturing overhead, product cost is, in the fixed manufacturing overhead, in the absorption costing, is part of your product cost. While in terms of variable costing, the fixed manufacturing overhead is part of your period cost. Meaning class, they are all to be expensed outright. So again, we go back to this one. The difference here is all about the fixed manufacturing overhead. Wherein in the fixed manufacturing overhead, in the absorption costing, they are part of the product cost, or it is part of the inventoriable cost. While in the variable costing, it is part of the period cost or expense outright. And class, ang pagkakaiba nila, no? When you say about variable and your absorption costing. By the way, class, when you say about absorption, it is also known as full costing. When you say about variable costing, it is also known as direct costing. Okay, sige. We go to this formula or to this illustration. As an illustration, Premium Products Corporation manufactures a polyterrain sealant called Fix-It for car windshields. Relevant data for Fix-It in January 1996 and the first month of productions are as follows. What if you have selling price of $20 per unit, $20 per unit, and you have the units produced of 30,000 and you have sold of 20,000, and you have also your beginning inventory of 0. So you have here what you call beginning inventory or beginning inventory of 0. You have also here what you call variable unit cost. So you have manufacturing which is 9 pesos or $9, composed of materials of 5, direct labor of 3, and also you have your variable overhead of 1. Alright, so that's your variable cost. Okay. And also you have your selling and admin expense. And also you have here what you call fixed costs. The fixed cost here is you have your manufacturing overhead of 120 and selling and admin expense of 15. Please take note of this class. Okay? In terms of the variable unit costs, in terms of computation for your sales minus variable cost, it includes selling and admin expense. But in the board exam, if the question here is how much would be the variable overhead or the variable product cost, it is only your manufacturing, direct materials, direct labor, variable overhead lang, no? Hindi kasama ang selling and admin expense. Please take note of that one, no? Minsan class, nagkakamali pa ang mga estudyante because of that. Okay. So, in terms of this cost per unit production, no, cost under each costing approach, as you notice, you have your absorption costing and we have your variable costing. Alright, if you notice class, in the absorption costing, your direct materials of 5, direct labor of 3, manufacturing overhead of 1. Alright, and please take note of the blue one, the blue bullet, no, or the blue highlight or the blue font. The fixed manufacturing overhead, which is at 120,000 divided by 30,000 is part of your inventoriable cost in your absorption costing. Okay, how about in terms of your variable costing? Okay, please take note in terms of the variable costing. You have your direct materials of 5, direct labor of 3, manufacturing overhead of 1. But in terms of the variable costing, the fixed manufacturing cost is 0. Meaning to say, class, the difference in terms of absorption costing and your variable costing is 13 minus 9, it is 4. Meaning to say, class, the difference in terms of the absorption costing and the variable costing is because of the fixed manufacturing overhead cost per unit. Why? Because in the absorption costing, it is part of your product cost, while in the variable costing, they are expense outright. So the difference in total units of 4, 13 minus 9 occurs because of the fixed manufacturing costs are the product cost under absorption costing and the period cost under the variable costing. Alright. So, meaning to say, class, when you want to reconcile the variable and absorption costing, it is only the ending inventory. Kasi nga, ang difference lang is all about the fixed manufacturing overhead. If you want to know the difference between the net income of the variable and absorption costing, papaano, sir? Okay? You can compute that one by just getting the ending inventory, no? So the income from operations under absorption costing is 40,000 higher than under variable costing. How do we compute for that one? 85 minus 45. But we need to know first, no, about the formula. Magkano class yung ating fixed manufacturing overhead? Di ba 4? Yes, 4. Go back to this one. 4. How much would be the ending inventory? The ending inventory here is 30 minus 10. So 30 minus 10, 10. 10,000 times 4, because 4 is your fixed cost. So dapat the difference is at 40,000. That's why here, under absorption costing, the difference is 40,000. Okay? Of the fixed overhead have been deferred to a future period as a product cost. But because of that, first is, we will check first, no, with the long cut. Ito ay ating shortcut. Okay. Go first with the absorption costing, income. So, premium products company income statement for the month ended January 31. Okay. So, sales of 20,000 and you have $20. So, 20,000 times 20, you have 400,000. And you have also here cost of goods sold of 0. Cost of goods manufactured is 30,000 times 13. What is 13 here? 13 here is basically your product cost, diba? Yung sa kabila naman ay 9. Next is, since you have an ending inventory of 10, cost of goods manufactured is 30, and the inventory naman is 10. So, 390 minus 130. How much would be your cost of goods sold? 260. Alright. And because of that class, you have also here your gross profit. So, 400,000 minus 260,000. Your gross profit here is at 140,000. Alright. How about your selling and your admin expense? So, the variable cost is 20,000 times 2 because 20,000 is your sold. Okay, plus fixed cost of 15 given yung 15. How much would be your income from operation under variable cost, absorption costing? You have 85,000. We'll check dapat ang difference is 40,000. We will check if tama. Alright. How about in terms of the variable costing? If your sales is 20,000 times 20, 400,000, and the inventory is 0, then the variable manufacturing overhead is 30,000. Please take note, it is 9 pesos already. Now, hindi na 13. Okay? So, you have 270. Cost of goods available for sale is 270 since you have 0. Then, inventory, January 31, 10,000 times 9, you have 90. And the variable cost of goods sold is at 190. Please take note, ito class ang sinasabi ko kanina. When you compute for the variable cost, includes all your variable overhead, including your variable and selling. But in the CPA board exam, if the question here is how much is the variable manufacturing cost, only your manufacturing cost. Hindi kasama ang variable and selling. Since this one, no, ang ating question mark is about gross profit margin. So meaning to say, it includes the variable selling and admin expense. How much is the variable selling and admin expense? 20,000 times 2. All in all, how much is the variable expenses? Very good. You have 220,000. Alright. So, 400 minus 220, you have 180,000 as part of your contribution margin. Fixed expense given yan, you have 120, and the selling and admin expenses of 15. So, 180 minus 135. How much would be your income from operations? 45. Tama ba that the difference is 40? Since you have an 85,000 in your absorption costing and also you have 45,000 in your variable costing, the difference is at 40,000. Again, how do we reconcile that one? Ending inventory, which is 30,000 produced minus 20,000 as your units sold, you have 10,000. And it is to be multiplied by 4. What is 4? 4 is the fixed per unit. Go back again to this one. Since our ending, go back to this. Okay. If you notice, class, that you have produce of, second bullet, you have produce of 30 and unit sold is 20. Meaning, mas malaki ang unit produce sa unit sold. If mas malaki ang unit produce sa unit sold, the income for your absorption costing is bigger than the variable cost. Sige. We go to this this one. Okay. Summary of the income effects. Okay. If the income under absorption costing is the same as the variable costing, if the unit produced is equal to your unit sold, the income for the absorption costing and the variable costing is also the same. Alright. If the unit produced is more than your unit sold, the income under absorption costing is bigger or is greater than the variable costing. Diba, a while ago, class, how much would be your unit produced? Diba, 30,000. How much is the unit sold? 20,000. So, meaning to say, mas malaki dapat ang income ng ating absorption costing. Tama ba? Absorption costing is you have a 25,000, while in the variable costing naman is you have a 45,000. Tama tayo, class, no? Yes. How about naman if the question, how about naman if the unit produced, alright, is less than the unit sold? Possible ba yun, sir? Yes, possible naman yan if we have a beginning inventory. Possible naman siya if you have beginning inventory. So, if the unit produced is less than the unit sold, mas malaki dapat ang income ng variable. Mas maliit ang income ng absorption costing by the variable costing. Alright. So, last slide, class. Alright. What would be the rationale for the variable costing? Alright. So, the rationale about variable costing is that variable costing focuses on the purpose of your fixed manufacturing cost, which is to have productive facilities available for use. Defenders naman of the absorption costing is that it justify the assignment of the fixed manufacturing overhead costs on the basis that these costs are much of getting product ready for the sale as the direct materials and direct labor. In layman's term, class, sabi ng variable costing, hindi kailangan ang fixed manufacturing cost because in terms of the productive facility daw, parang lagi nang mayroong variable cost, fixed manufacturing overhead. Pero sabi naman ng absorption costing, kailangan natin kasama lahat, including the fixed manufacturing overhead. Kasi kung walang fixed manufacturing overhead, sa tingin mo bubuo ang product. That's why, please take note of the last bullet. The use of the variable costing in product costing is acceptable only for internal use only. Meaning to say, the variable costing class is for internal reporting only or internal use only, and it is bound by a merely confidentiality. That's why the absorption costing is the widely used because it is for the external, while variable costing is for internal, or also known as the contribution margin format. So again, thank you very much and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.